Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Peter here. Today's video is a brief kind of overview of Rouge Bunny Rouge. This is actually a cosmetic brand, but they like do all sorts from mascara, makeup, all beauty products. They also have a fragrance line. These actually caught my attention browsing through a website that I check now and again, and I noticed the bottles looked quite cool. And I actually emailed them and said I was a little bit cheeky and asked if I could get some samples, and they were actually kind enough to send me this lovely little sample set with a range of the black ones men's fragrances, the white ones are women's. I've also got a couple of extras here. I've got one men's fragrance called Tundra, and the rest here are another 4 women's fragrances. So I'm gonna try and run through all of them. They did actually end up sending me a full bottle, which is extremely generous, and I honestly didn't expect that, but there you go. And you can see probably why I was attracted to it. I love the artwork on the bottle. The glass is kind of etched. You can see all these kind of patterns, and on the front here there's like, I don't know, it's like an elf woman, or I just thought it was really cool. I like the artwork. The cap is thick. It says Rouge Bunny Rouge around the lid. It's a metal cap, it's not plastic. This is honestly the best spray I've ever used. Before this one, I would say Narciso Rodriguez was my best sprayer. If anyone owns this guy, you'll know how satisfying it is to click the spray on this. It is super firm and smooth, and it creates just an amazing mist. This is even better than the Narciso Rodriguez spray. You can completely control how much you spray, from just a little bit to a lot. It's just a fantastic spray, honestly. So the bottle they sent me is called Silhouette. I don't show boxes, but because it was gifted to me, I should probably show it. Comes with a sleeve, and you open it up like that, and the bottle sits nicely in there. It's a nice presentation. Again, I like the artwork. It's what attracted me to the brand in the first place. So with Silhouette, I actually do find it kind of hard to describe. There's an unusual sweetness that I have no idea what it is, to be completely honest. I mean, there's certain times I get licorice vibes. Sometimes it's slightly coumarin-like. I'm honestly not sure what the sweetness is. It's unusual. It's kind of different. There's a feeling of cashmeran, if you're familiar with that. It's kind of musky. I think I get Isoe Super as well. So I think this is a fragrance really, if you're a fan of Eccentric Molecules line, things like Molecule 01, I would say this is more aimed probably at the people that kind of appreciate those kind of fragrances that are more lighter, kind of a perfume that you would wear when you don't really want to shout, or you don't really want to wear a fragrance. This is a very light, everyday, soft, inoffensive kind of scent. It is very light. I think you need to appreciate just kind of soft, non-offensive kind of casual scents for this. But because it was gifted to me, I am going to wear it. I think it smells good. I found it to be better in the air outside. When you're inside, sometimes you don't really smell it on yourself, but when you're walking around in the breeze outside, it does have a sillage. Very difficult to describe, but I would say cashmeran-like, musky, Isoe Super kind of lightly woody, slightly unusual sweetness. Very difficult to describe, but a very casual, daytime, everyday kind of fragrance. The men's fragrance that impressed me the most from the line was this one. It's called Tundra. I've got a feeling this is probably the best seller from the line, and I like this one. Notes of bergamot, pink pepper, laurel leaves, juniper berry, nutmeg, elm, patchouli, violet, moss, cedarwood, musk, and vetiver. So what I get is the juniper, and the vetiver, and the musk, and the moss as well. I think this is really nice, actually. What interests me about this is that it reminds me of an element of a fragrance that I don't like to mention because okay, don't take this the wrong way, but it smells a little bit like a Aventus, Creed Aventus. I'm not talking about the pineapple. everyone knows what Aventus smells like probably. It has very unique muskiness to the scent of Aventus. I describe it as like a man musk. It's a very manly kind of musk, and it's quite a strong note in Aventus that no one ever talks about. Everyone just focuses on the pineapple or the birch. The musk is a main part of Aventus, and it's a very manly kind of unique smelling musk. This, in my honest opinion, has got a very similar manly kind of musk that does remind me of Aventus, but this is mixed with vetiver and juniper. So it definitely has this kind of more mass appealing, manly kind of vibe, which is why I think this is probably one of their best sellers. What I like about this one, it's not too dirty. The vetiver's not too overpowering. I think the juniper and the pink pepper and the other notes I think are more subtle. I think the focus is juniper, the musk and the vetiver, maybe with a little bit of the moss. But it's very manly, very kind of all-season, all-purpose kind of fragrance in the same sense as Aventus is. Maybe a little bit too much for summer, but spring, autumn, winter, daytime, nighttime, formal, casual. I actually honestly like it. I think it's a nice fragrance. So I'm going to tackle this little set here. We're going to do the men's first and then the women's last. So this one is called Embers. I've got a nice little booklet here, so we'll read a little bit of the notes. Pink pepper, nutmeg, clove, freesia, jasmine, cistus, incense, styrax, Peru balsam and sandalwood. So this is actually another one that I actually quite like. Again, I'm finding these hard to describe. Usually I don't have problem describing fragrances. These ones trip me a little bit. This again has a very unique, unusual kind of sweetness that I can't describe in words. Maybe it's the Peru balsam and the styrax. Maybe it's the kind of the resinous vibes that are just naturally sweet. I do get hints of the pink pepper in the opening, which is nice and actually reminds me a little bit of Ambre Sauvage by Annick Goutal. I don't smell any clove, which is a good thing because I don't like clove. Incense, a little bit, not too much, and it's definitely not smoky. The florals I think are a minimum. I would say this is more resinous and spicy. This is more about the resins, the pink pepper and the sandalwood with a little bit of an incense vibe going through. But again, it's very nice. I would guess that this is probably one of their better sellers as well. And I'm actually looking forward to reviewing this one and seeing how that changes, because I do actually like this one. The next one is called Sylvan, or Sylvan. Notes are grapefruit, juniper berry, pepper, incense, gaiac wood, cedarwood, musk and patchouli. So I think this one, the note breakdown is fairly accurate. You get the fresh grapefruit in the opening, you definitely get the pepper and the juniper, and you do get almost an incensey vibe. Personally, it's not quite my taste, but it does smell kind of manly and fresh and kind of more of a mainstream kind of likeable vibe that probably most people would find it appealing, but it doesn't scream at me, this one. So the last one in the men's line is called Signin. I have no idea how to pronounce that, I'm afraid. Notes of floral zone, angelica seeds, davana, lavender oil, orpur, violet leaves, muguet, musks, Velvione, maxilone, amber and metallic woods. So what I like about this is their transparency and their honesty, that this contains synthetics and they're actually naming the synthetics. Not many companies do that, they try and hide, but I like the fact that they're honest. So this one is, again, really hard to describe. It is musky, but this one is cleaner, and I definitely get the floral element, or the floral ozone. It kind of smells green and herbal at the same time as being floral and musky. It's interesting. I can't honestly say I've ever smelled anything like this before. It does have like an ozonic kind of vibe, mixed with florals and kind of a green herbally kind of almost grassiness. I think maybe the herbal kind of edge is coming a little bit from the lavender. And I do see what they mean about the metallic woods. So it is more kind of a synthetic kind of, not completely natural kind of smell, but it's pleasant, it smells good. It's honestly very difficult for me to describe because, you know, these are more unusual kind of smelling synthetics. but it smells very modern and contemporary, and I can't compare it to anything. I'll read you a little bit of the passage from this one. The impression of soft Napa leather from the crushed violet leaves brings a balance of masculine edge that diffuses as if the clean and fresh aroma is rising after rain. Sensual musks overlaid with amber add a rich velvety softness and a dry woody trace. Green and herbal tones laced with camphor and peppery angelica infuse the composition with perpetual energy. All the while floating on the scented crest of this effervescent wave is a sense of recognition and belonging that sweet, vibrant lavender walks from slumber, ever-present, graceful and suave. This lilac-hued photogonist is a happy in its own company, yet clearly conduces the throng of oscillating notes in flight. I would say it smells like, although I've never smelled anything like this before, it does have a sense of being more of a designer fragrance, like it would smell more mass-appealing designer-ish. But I think the herbalness of the lavender and the ozonic kind of floral element in the musk are the main kind of players in that one. I'm going to have a difficult time reviewing these because they're so hard to describe to you guys. So I'm going to run through the women's now. Tundra, a little bit hard to pronounce names. Notes are black pepper, elm, thyme flower, rosewood, rum, guaiac wood, patchouli, heliotrope, vanilla pod, benzoin, amber and leather. So I think probably like the women's line more. I think have some really quite nice women's scents actually. This is actually gorgeous. This is probably, I'm not kidding, one of the better vanillas that I've smelt. You get a very creamy, warm vanilla, very kind of rich and sensual, and you get a little bit of the black pepper. I don't really think you get the rum, but you might say it's almost a boozy-ish kind of vanilla. I think the woods come through, and the amber. I think if you're a fan of vanilla, this will definitely please you, and it is really nice. I actually like it a lot. I'd love to smell that on a woman. This one is without doubt my favourite from the entire range. I think this one is really nice. I think the vanilla in this is lovely. What I like about it is not too sweet. It's not ridiculously cloying and sweet, but it's very kind of sexy and smooth. If I had to recommend just one women's fragrance from this house, I would say this one, especially if you're a fan of vanilla. Next we have Arcadia. I will read you the notes of ozonic flowers, carrot seed oil, amaretto, accord, saffron and plum, with incense, golden orange osmanthus, lily of the valley, wakapoo wood. I've never heard of wakapoo, which is quite funny. Mineral notes, vetiver oak moss and cedarwood. So again, I like how they're kind of more transparent and honest with the notes. They've listed ozonic flower, which is obviously, you know, is it a synthetic accord or note? This one, I kind of, again, struggle to describe it. I'm sorry. It's a little bit ozonic. It does smell a little bit too synthetic, I have to be honest. But the scent itself is soft. It's not a strong smell. It's vaguely kind of ozonic, slightly floral. I get a bit of the woodiness coming through, but it's a very light fragrance. Personally, I've got to be honest, I would skip this particular one. I don't think this is the best one. Next we have Algeria, which has notes of bergamot, sour orange, grapefruit and passion fruit with black currant leaf, mint, basil, eucalyptus, mimosa absolute, cedarwood, dry amber, musk, hawthorn and tonka bean. So I know exactly what it is in the opening. It's Cassis Base 345B by Feminiche, which you'll be familiar with if you smell Enchanted Forest by Vagabond Prince or Blackcurrant and Bay by Joe Malone. They both use this exact blackcurrant note. Very nice. It's like a watery blackcurrant mixed with the green leaves, so it smells like a blackcurrant bush in the forest after the rain. It's very refreshing. It's a really nice note. I do get a hint of the mint coming through, and some other fruits. The passion fruit I think comes through a little bit, which makes it almost tropical-esque, just a little bit. But the watery blackcurrant and the green forest is kind of the main vibe of the fragrance. I also think you get the cooling of the eucalyptus, which is actually quite nice. So it smells watery, fruity, green and fresh. This reminds me of like a country garden after it's just rained. You've stepped out into your garden. There's water dripping off all the bushes and the grass on the floor, and you've got a blackcurrant bush at the end of your garden. It's actually very nice. I like it. It's fresh, it's clean. If you like fruitiness, wateriness, clean green gardens and fruit, probably worth checking out. It's nice. And lastly, we've got Mews. So this is nice as well. The focus is definitely the jasmine. It has sambac jasmine. I think that's the first thing you're going to smell is the very smooth white floral jasmine. Notes of bergamot, freesia, gardenia, green leaves, jasmine absolute, sambac jasmine, labdanum, moss, musk, ambergris, cedarwood and agarwood. First impression is it's jasmine heavy. I don't particularly smell the bergamot. Maybe a little bit of gardenia actually as well. So it's a very white floral fragrance. From first impression, the base notes aren't coming through yet. All I'm getting is the jasmine and the gardenia a little bit. It's mainly a jasmine fragrance. So this is one to check out maybe if you're a fan of white florals. I will review all of these or most of them in full, and I can kind of talk about how they develop and change and my thoughts on them and how long they last, obviously. But this is kind of a brief overview of my first impressions. And then lastly we've got the women's line in the box set here. So this one is called Lilt. So the notes for this are green leaf accord, fig leaf, peach, coconut, violet, vetiver and musk. First note I smell straight off the bat is violet. It smells like Parma violets if you're familiar with that. Those little, it's more of a candied violets basically. But there is more going on. I definitely get the green leaf. It's a mix of candy-like violets with a green kind of leaf. It's literally that. I do get subtle hints of the peach as well. Not really so much of the coconut though. Maybe just hints of the fig. I don't think it's completely prominent, but just hints of it. The main focus is really the greenness of the leaves, so to speak, of that kind of accord mixed with this candy-like violet. Tiny little bit of the peach, a little bit of the fig. I can actually honestly see a lot of women liking this. It's quite fresh and yeah, it's nice. I like it. It's a little bit unusual, which I think is kind of probably why I like it. It's a little bit different. So the next one is Vespers, which again is a little bit hard to describe. Kind of a watery apple. I get the rose and the violet with a sense of a muskiness as well. But it's floral. I think the rose is light and more of a pink rose. I think the violet is subtle and the watery kind of appley fruitiness is there. It's okay, but it's not my favourite one. So the next one is Chateau Yount. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I get a little bit of the citrus on the top, the bergamot and the lemon. And this is a mixture of orchid, jasmine, rose and lily of the valley. This feels lighter, but I think you get kind of a loose mix of all those. So it is kind of, you know, it's a mix of florals. This one is definitely on the lighter side though. Personally, that one's not really my taste. So the last one is Incantation. This is very light and summery and fresh. You get a mixture of citruses and fruits and florals. You get orange blossom and a little bit of rose. The citrus accord is the dominant kind of note off the top. This one reminds me ever so slightly of something like Still Life by Olfactive Studio, in that kind of effervescent, kind of summery kind of vibe. So I'd say this is more of a light, daytime wear, summery kind of fresh fragrance, citrus and floral. So that's my overview of Rouge Bunny Rouge. If I had to pick one to check out from the men's and one from the women's, I would say Tundra is the best from the men's line, and Tinera is the best from the women's line, at least for my taste. But there are a couple of others that I like as well. I will be reviewing as many of them as I can, starting with my favourites first. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you again in the next one. Take care guys. Bye.